tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Welcome to the Dhammapada program. Today we discuss the verse number 47, chapter on flowers. The Buddha talks about the sensual pleasures and how people get involved in sensual pleasures. The man who gathers flowers of sensual pleasures, whose mind is entangled, death carries off as a great flood, sweeps away a sleeping village. A sleeping village. So some persons who pluck flowers never satisfy with collecting flowers. They love to all kinds of flowers, admiring the fragrance and color of flowers. Their minds are not satisfied with what they gathered. The fivefold sensual pleasures are also fairly equal to flowers and flower gardens. The people who go inside the flower gardens of sensual pleasures are not satisfied and keep continuing to running after carnal pleasures. They seek new ways of satisfying and hunt for happiness everywhere and in every action, saying, this is the happiness and that is the happiness, like that, without any idea of the true meaning of life. And at the end of the life, after exhausting the energy by lamenting, they go to death, with tears rolling down the eyes, painfully they face death. They will be taken to ruination or to the ocean of fourfold hells, just like the sleeping village is suddenly taken by a great flood. A great flood. It means the sleeping village. In that village, nobody knows that what would happen in the next moment. In the next moment, we do not know what's going to happen. In that village, nobody knows that what would happen in the next moment. All pleasure seekers who are clinging to sensuality are in the same pathetic condition. They are blinded by passions, kamandha, and are again considered the ones who are affected by passions, kamatra, who are affected by passions. They are in the whirlpool of sensuality. This does not mean the rejection of happiness of secular life. No. It says, do not be pleasure seekers. Do not be a pleasure seekers. Blindly don't get involved in pleasure seeking. Do not be so foolishly greedy ignorantly greedy. This means that desirous mind, which is attached to the things already received and the things not yet received. Attached to the things already received and the things not yet received. It is like the behavior of a flower collector in a flower garden. His mind spatially goes from flower to flower and flower tree to flower tree. He is infatuated with the fragrance and color of flowers. His eyes are attached to one beautiful girl and again to another charming girl. He is greedy for pleasant sounds, sounds of ladies. He is intoxicated with good smells and various tastes. He is running after taste to taste, seeking happiness in order to satisfy his desirous mind. His desirous mind. He never satisfies with bodily touching. When one thing is obtained, his mind goes again to another thing. Therefore, he can be considered to be the slave of desires. Slave of desires. Tanha, dasa in Pali language. Tanha means desire, dasa means slave. Don't try to be a slave to your passions. He had no idea of the future repercussions of his cruel actions. So nature punished him and his entourage. If a monk is greedy for his temple belongings, robes, lodgings, and whatever the material things, is also considered a monk who is with impure mind. His mind is distracted with many material things. At the end of his life, he has to repent of the past. So the mind attached to the fivefold sensual pleasures would surely be under the thumb of the evil one. We call in Pali Mara, the evil one. The attached mind is like a sleeping village and no idea of future happiness. Many people have no idea of meaning of life or philosophy of life. They dedicate their whole life for gaining worldly happiness. They die with their unsatisfied minds, which are full of corporeal desires. Recently we find that Western scholars are engaged in discussing and debating on the topic of the meaning of life. The meaning of life. We feel later that life is meaningless. And therefore, it is good to be non-attached to things because of pleasure, because of sensual pleasures. We enjoy, but there is a hidden thing in that will be harmful to happiness here and hereafter. But it's always good to be mindful of these things and get involved in sensual pleasures, but mindfully, carefully. Otherwise, it will be a cardinal error on one's part if you are not aware of the mind that full of desires, and that desire is bringing suffering, pain, unhappiness. Therefore, it is important to be aware of our passions, the passions that we try to get rid of, the passions that we try to drop, the passions that we do not try to develop. But this passion is very cardinal for our happy, joyful, peaceful life, non-attached happiness. It is good to be aware of what harm this attachment is doing to our, how hard it is to get rid of these things, but how painful these things as long as we act with so much attached to sensual pleasures. The happiness and joy that you get out of sensual pleasures is temporary. But the happiness that you gain by developing spirituality, by living a spiritual life, that happiness is forever, not temporary. For this reason, please try to be aware of the danger of these sensual pleasures which bring it to us. Mindfully enjoy and get involved in sensual pleasures, but intelligently try to observe what is it doing, the harm that it is doing to you, so that you will be very happy once when you come to know what harms the sensual pleasure is doing. And for that reason, when you try to give up getting involved in sensual pleasures ignorantly, you will see a kind of joy, peace that is you are getting, you are receiving, you are deriving. That happiness is the permanent happiness. And that happiness is far better than the happiness of sensual pleasures. May you all be well and happy.